Libra disappeared. Libra
Uh-oh.
disappeared. Where did Libra go?
Libra?
Wait, what do you mean I disappeared? I'm still here.
Libra?
I have my thing open.
Oh, there you are. I was like, what happened
Oh my god.
Why did it do that?
That's a first.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the Steam podcast. Today we have a special guest, so let's go ahead and introduce everyone. We have Sakuno.
Hello.
Tali.
I was like, that's
Hello.
Why didn't you say anything?
Oh, did my mic not pick up? I guess it did not pick up.
It did not. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move on. And then there's me, Nyapawlitan, and then we have Goose.
Hi.
And for our lovely special guest for this evening's podcast, we have RGLiibra, aka Libra.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet y'all. And thank you for having me, guys.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. Since we do have Libra here, we thought it would be fun to kind of talk about video games. So we have a couple of questions that we came up with to kind of like ask, and then we'll chat about everything. Yeah. You guys ready?
Ah.
All set?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Ah.
So, first question that we have is, what was everyone's first video game and or console?
Are we going down the row, or? Oh, okay.
It's whoever wants to speak first. That's pretty much how it goes. We're all so considerate that it takes a while. It's like dead air for a little bit, and then we have and then like two people speak up and we're like, no you go, no you go.
Okay,
That does
fair.
happen.
Well, if no one else can know off the top of their head, I guess I can break the ice. So I kind of have multiple answers because I guess it kind of just considers which is like, or like whatever you would consider the first console, because it's both an N64 and a Game Boy Color. Now the color was like for me, but the N64 I had to share with my brother, obviously. And I remember the first game we got on the 64 was actually the original Pokemon Stadium. And my first game actually being, I'm trying to remember the exact Kirby game that was specifically for color. Can't think of the top of my head. Dreamland 2, I want to say, or Kirby's Adventure 2.
Classic. I think it's a good choice so far.
It was the one where you were able. Okay, it is Dreamland 2 because you were able to like partner up with the animal friends.
I know I have a similar thing. Actually, these were not mine, but I actually shared a Nintendo 64 and a Game Boy Color with my brother. They were my brothers, 100%, but I would use them too. To be 100%, like my first console would be like a 3DS. Not a 3DS, sorry. Game Boy Advance. There we go. That's the thing. And then my first game would be Pokemon Sapphire. But I really liked the Nintendo 64, also playing Pokemon Coliseum, mainly for like the mini games.
Yeah.
I'm still haunted by the Lickitung mini game and the Clefairy. Very young, tiny Nia did not understand how to do the poses for the Clefairy game. So I would cry each time because I'm like, I don't understand. What am I doing?
The Clefairy game is how I got my start in fighting games, really. Anyone who's played King of Fighters, specifically Geese, would probably understand.
For me, my father got a Nintendo really when I was like a tiny little kid, and he got Tecmo Football. I never really played it, but I would sit there and watch. It wasn't until I got like a Game Boy Color or something that I really got a console for myself. I think my first game was either Link to the Past, Zelda, or Pokemon Red. One of the two. Yeah, those were mine.
I think, well, my first console was the Super Nintendo. I remember playing a bunch of the Marios, like Super Mario World and all that. Those were a part of my childhood.
The classics.
Yeah. And then we also had a Sega Genesis, so I played a lot of Echo the Dolphin and Sonic. We weren't too much of a Nintendo family though. We never had like a GameCube or a N64, but I used to always go over to my friend's house to play like Super Smash Bros. And Mario Party. We were very much an Xbox family.
My family was kind of a Nintendo family.
My family just did not like video games, and they didn't like me playing, but I played anyway.
My parents, I think they had, can't remember what they had. I don't know if they had like a Sega or like, I literally don't know. I was literally 4 years old. I just remember my dad would play like a Mickey Mouse game and then an Aladdin game.
Oh, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
But this was like back when I was like little, and then when I was very little. But they always bought my brother consoles, and then they bought me a couple of things later on, but like primarily Nintendo they were okay with, and then my brother had like an Xbox while we were growing up. So Nintendo Xbox house.
I remember when the Kinect and all that came out as a competitor to the Wiimote.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That shit was wild.
Remember, there's only one good game.
There was a couple.
I did
alright
the dancing
stuff.
one.
It was mostly like party
Just
one,
Dance.
party stuff.
Just
Yeah.
Dance, Dance Master.
Just Dance easily has one of my favorite cutscenes. Actually,
really?
I'll explain at the end. But
Oh, okay.
I know Sakuno. What was your first video game console?
It was the SNES, I believe. And the
Oh,
first,
Super Nintendo.
And the first game, I think, it was a Mario game. It was like Super Mario or something, or it was like one of the Mario games. I don't remember which one exactly. I know that I mostly played Mario games at the beginning, and
I
then
love Mario
and
Brothers.
and then I know I did like the Mario RPG one when it was in the SNES.
Oh yes. Well, yeah, I think it's just called Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, and then
It's re-released.
I mostly play like console. Like I had an SNES, I had a Sega, I had Nintendo 64. It wasn't until like I think middle school when we got our first Game Boy. Not Game Boy Color, like the Game Boy Advance. Before the SP and all that. And with that is when I started playing Pokemon.
That's I think that was everyone for the first question.
Yeah.
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 I did have a classic Game Boy as well. I remember playing Terminator on that thing.
Oh, the lethal brick.
Yeah.
The lethal break.
Thing's a brick. What do you want?
God.
Yeah,
For the longest time,
as
my
strong
parents
as a Nokia.
wouldn't buy any like adult games for me or anything over PG-13. So for a long time, I was just playing like these like kiddie games. I remember this Lego racer that was so good though.
Oh wait, was that the one for the PlayStation?
It might have been, but I had it on
I had that. Oh wait, okay, on Game Boy.
on GameCube or an
Oh, Game-
N64. N64.
I think it might have been multi-platform, because I remember kind of only one existing in that era, but I did have it. Really fun time with that.
You could like make your own little Lego race carts.
Yeah, have like all the familiar parts if you ever played Lego before.
Like Lego games are goat. Like
Yeah.
they're untimely and they're classic. Like it's always a good time no matter what the age.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember my Lego Star Wars game. I was like, I love this.
I was just about to bring that
Yeah,
up. 'cause
the Lego Jurassic Park is also kind of fun too because you get to turn into the dinosaurs.
I think the funniest era for Lego games was easily like when Skywalker Saga dropped, and for whatever reason, a lot of people were like uploading Devil May Cry style like Lego Star Wars combos.
That's
It's
wild.
just like, why can't you do that in a Lego game? I almost bought it just for that, but then I realized that it just plays like, you know, the other Lego Star Wars games, and I think the only reason they were able to do that was because of like multiplayer. It was a wild time though, if only for a month.
If phone.
So fondest memories, mine as a child. I remember as a little kid, before school, I would go sneak over to my friends, and he had an older brother who had like a PlayStation and all these adult games like GTA and stuff, like Ride or Die skating and such on a Sega Genesis. And we would just play all these games that we weren't supposed to. We were bad kids.
You keep saying adult games, and my brain keeps thinking like
Honey Pop.
adult games, like 18
Okay.
plus. Like,
Well,
I just can't. Like, I know it's not what you mean, but every time you
I
say
did
it, my
learn
brain
about
just goes,
hook through GTA, so
True, true.
but I just mean like 18 plus.
More mature games than your
Mature
age.
rated?
Than your age. And
Like Manhunt and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
basically blood and gore and yeah.
Things that.
Hot coffee mod in San Andreas.
God.
For me, I want to say I have too many memories for like fond memories in gaming. I guess if I had to pick out like wait, is it? I guess from childhood specifically, like pre-high school graduation. It was when Brawl released, and you know, the first thing like my friends and I did was just kind of try to see what like some of the stupid tech was in the game, finding out all these really funny things like smash or dash canceling, and like one of the first ones that we found out about was what you can do with Snake, specifically. So to kind of explain it, if you play Ultimate or even if you play Brawl, Snake's up smash is just like a mortar. And in Brawl, it just kind of went in random directions. In Ultimate, it just kind of does the same arc every time. But with Brawl, you were able to do this. If I remember this right, it was smash canceling or dash canceling. I can't remember the specific tech, but you were able to slide like across all of Final Destination holding up smash. So if you know the animation, Snake would set the mortar down, but he'd still be sliding forward, which was really scary if you're playing like, because like that game was like really airborne because of tripping. So it was really scary if you're recovering high because you didn't know what direction the mortar was actually going to end up going.
That does sound scary.
And on top of that, he already had like 2 landmines that you had to deal with from his like down smash and the C4. So Snake was a really fucked up but a really funny character to play in Brawl. And just finding out all the like the dumb like shitter things that you can do as that character was one of the funniest experiences that I have, at least from childhood.
I remember playing Smash Bros. Like for the N64, and just either DK smash at everyone to Kingdom Come, or just Kirby gulping them and just committing suicide with the video.
I've done that.
Classic. The classic tactic.
I would get my brother with that a couple of times, and then he was like, "Stop it."
You're fired.
After a while, I would do it on accident, and I'm like screaming, "I'm sorry."
That sounds very Nia.
I know that. Honestly, everything from like childhood is what caused Nia to be Nia.
Fair.
Trauma.
But I think my fondest memories from like video gaming as like a child, is just being able to play video games with my brother. I wasn't very good. However, when it came down to like the original like Smash Brothers, my brother and I, we would always play, but after a while, I started beating him every single time.
You were the victor.
I was the victor, and he's like, oh, it's because you're button mashing. Once I learn how to like do specific moves, you're not gonna win. I'm like, watch this.
That sounds like an excuse.
But it wasn't just Smash Bros. It was also my brother had like it was an Xbox game, but it was like a preview of like all the games that were like, I guess, releasing that year.
Oh, okay.
Because they had like a whole bunch of different demos. They had a Street Fighter demo on there, and my brother and I would play, and I would still beat him. There were a few times where he got me because he actually started to learn how to do the combos, but I would still beat him.
Such a wild time. I remember back like then, I would literally rent from like the corner store the football Madden like 2010, I think it was at the time, just because it had a demo on it for the upcoming Left 4 Dead 2.
Oh.
So I would rent the one game just to play the demo of another. But yeah, I could relate with Nia with doing a lot with sibling. Many Halo nights, many other games that we played together.
Halo, Medal of Honor. Pretty much if it was a shooter, we would play that. And if it had like 2-player. Sorry.
I kind of wish I spent more time playing games with my brother, but we didn't really have too many that we could play in common.
Yeah, I did try to play games with my sister, but she didn't like the games I played. I do have one fond memory from my childhood. You remember those Super Nintendo games and stuff? How you would blow into them?
Oh, like
they
the
stopped
N64
working?
cartridge.
Yeah, you blow into it and stick it back in, and it would suddenly start working.
The magic of blowing air into it.
Well, you could also do that with like the console. And you remember like the Nintendo consoles? You can blow it into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it would do the same thing. I remember we were sitting there eating candy one day and try to get a game to work, and blow into it and launch the candy into the console.
Oh no.
Oh,
I don't know why it was the funniest thing ever at the moment.
I was the younger sibling, so there were many times as well of just like being the person watching. I remember watching him play like Amnesia: The Dark Descent when that first came out. He does not like scary games.
You jump a lot.
Oh yeah.
The scream.
We'd also do it in the dark, so it's kind of understandable. I guess.
You guess.
I guess.
I need someone to hold my hand with scary games too, though. To be honest,
I want to play
Me
more
too.
scary games.
I refuse.
I think for Halloween, if part of me, so actually no, I'm gonna save that for later. I just feel like it's not totally on track with the topic, at least. I mean, it might be, but it's like more stream related, so like I don't want to like kind of hijack this either.
Respectable.
Who hasn't shared a childhood memory about gaming?
Sakuno, I believe.
I tend to be last.
She dabbled.
I dabble. I agree with a lot of you guys because I did. The more memorable ones would be the Smash ones, Super Smash. Where I played with my sister and brother, and my go-to character to use is Pikachu always, and my sister's is Kirby. And I don't. My brother dabbles in like everything. I think his main one was like Captain Falcon.
Oh,
And
Which
then
character did you main? Quick.
Pikachu.
Zelda and Sheik.
are we talking just like Smash
Oh.
Bros. History? Because my mains change like every game.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about the original one. Mine would be Kirby.
I say Donkey Kong would probably easiest be the one that I played the most.
For me, Pikachu, but there were two other characters that I would pick, like if I just wanted to be mean to someone. Because so Smash Bros was like a gateway into like competitive tech for me.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah, and I realized that, or not realized, but like I found out, you know, when I was in like kindergarten, that Captain Falcon had a 0 to death combo, like a really easy one to land actually.
Yeah.
And all it was 2 up airs and then like up B, and then that always killed for some reason. And also Kirby was just really fucked in Smash 64. So when I found that out, I tried to dabble a little. I can never get the tilts right, but it was really fun to just like watch like a lot of my friends who are better at the game and watch them like abuse people with Kirby specifically.
It's always fun to do it with Jigglypuff, where you get like that special smash in if there's
Oh, the rest.
yeah.
I do like juggling people on Sheik. She had some tilts that you could just repeat over and over and keep people in air over you.
Yeah, I can't speak much for Melee because I didn't really play too much. For Brawl, I was just another dirty Meta Knight main. I like playing a little bit of Falco, but
How
I mean,
dare you?
Meta Knight was Meta Knight. He was too cool to pass up. I don't care how many people played that character. But for Smash 4, I kind of just stayed out of, so I didn't really settle on a character. But Smash Ultimate, in Korea at least in particular, I became a pretty infamous Banjo main.
Nice.
Infamous in the sense that I was actually one of like, I think literally 3 known in the competitive scene.
Oh wow.
Maybe like 5, but like there were not many Banjo players in Korea, and I was always able to abuse that in tournaments because like no one knew how to play against the character, and at the time like no one really like knew anything about counterplay against the character. So that was really fun.
I know at one point in Halo 3, one of the competitive multiplayer stuff was team doubles, and me and my brother got to be top 100 in Canada at one point.
Ooh.
It didn't last long, but we made it.
Hey, no, that's still big. Like, just breaking into top 100 is huge.
Good times, fun. Back in my day.
I'm sorry, I'm so coffee. I'm still kind of recovering from like strep throat and COVID.
It's okay.
No worries.
How dare you? I am shocked. I am unconsolable. Unconsolable, I say.
Forgive. It wasn't
Or
my intention to
forget.
just fucking die.
It was not my
My intention.
intention.
Fair.
Spring. sorry.
No, it's all good.
That hurt my brain.
So, what's our all-time favorite? What's your guys' all-time favorite game or franchise?
Bioshock.
Oh, Bioshock's actually really good.
Yeah,
Bioshock
it's really
is my all-time favorite franchise. So
Even
I'm
Infinite?
Yeah,
cool.
I
Especially
enjoyed Infinite.
Especially. I actually really like speedrunning that game.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a like step away from their original like formula that they had, but it wasn't a bad game either.
No, yeah. I think for me, favorite game all time, Okami. It's a real personal pick. One that I'm hoping will eventually get a sequel, but probably will never ever get a sequel because Clover Studios shut down like almost 10 years ago now. Yeah. It's my Cope sequel. But franchise? It's a hard one. I don't think I can pick like one franchise in particular.
I don't mind.
Oh, then go ahead.
Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Or
that's a
Final
good one.
Fantasy.
Both fair valid.
No, Final Fantasy's up there for me.
I think mine is, well, will always be Pokemon. If not Pokemon and Final Fantasy.
I struggle with Pokemon ever since, honestly, Black and White is where my downhill for Pokemon started.
For me, oddly enough, it was the most recent game because this is like the first time I haven't really transferred any of my old teams into Scarlet and Violet or into a Pokemon game.
So yeah,
I think
Only make a gamer so sad so
Well, I
many
think-
times. I did like Eevee though. Pokemon Eevee was fun.
Oh, Let's Go.
Yeah. And I like the direction change from Arceus. I hadn't played it myself, but I watched like a few streams of it. I like that they did something different.
I think
Yeah.
Arceus is great for like single player content, you know, and
Yeah.
for that reason I am kind of excited for ZA because Gen 6 was easily like my favorite generation. I think it's also because I had like the most friends while playing it, so there was a lot of fun times that went into that.
Fair enough.
For me,
Where?
I'm I had it. I was gonna say I'm like, oh, I really like the Hamtaro like ham games game.
She needs
Game
more
Boy
time. Come back
Advance
to
one?
it.
Yeah,
Timeless classic for me.
Yeah.
I love that one. That was the only Hamtaro game. I never played Ham Heartbreak. I always wanted to, but I never got to. I still have Ham games somewhere. It's somewhere, I don't know where. Probably with my 3DS. But I feel like that's like kind of like my joke answer.
It's a very valid answer.
It's still, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
still
some
valid.
people just have like favorite childhood picks.
Yeah.
They can't let go.
Yeah, I
Um,
also love Kirby, but
Yeah, Kirby's also up there.
I would say like my absolute like all-time favorite ever, Fire Emblem Awakening. It was my first Fire Emblem game, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
That was the
Fa-
Fire. I want to say that was the Fire Emblem that saved the franchise. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was. I really loved it. It has its flaws, obviously, but it made me want to know more about Fire Emblem. Even though I haven't really played any of like the older games, I still would say Fire Emblem is a favorite franchise of mine. But I think my all-time favorite franchise would be Animal Crossing.
Mm,
Just all across the board because it's very like easy and it's chill. I don't have to think too hard.
a comfort.
you
game.
don't get to. I'm forced to think. Rigged.
As a contract landscaper, I'm forced to think in Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I'm forced. Well, here's the thing about New Horizons. I really like it, but I always get like very upset because I'm very bad at building, and then I see other people's like stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, why can't I do this?
Same.
Why can't I be like you?
I made this cute little house on the hill. Meanwhile, YouTube. I built a
YouTube?
Japanese summer festival.
Oh yeah, and another franchise I do like is the Tales of series.
What, really?
Like Tales of Vesperia, Symphonia. I really like that. I really like that series.
We gotta play a Tales of game sometime.
Yeah.
I never finished mine. I had a couple on my PSP, but I never finished any.
I think I only ever finished 4. Vesperia, both the original and the deluxe or whatever updated edition on Switch. Abyss, Hearts, and Symphonia. I have like 2 on Steam I have not played.
You know, since a lot of RPGs are being brought up, I think it's a perfect segue into the next question here. Our favorite game genres.
Dark Souls.
just Souls-like in
Souls-like.
general. Yeah.
Yes.
That is polarizing to me that that's become its own genre, right? Like
Dark
it's
Souls?
Dark Souls.
just
Or
Souls-like in
Souls-like.
general, yeah.
I mean, Souls-like has been a genre for a long while now.
JRPG.
I know
Technically,
now it's like it's been
Dark Souls
mainstay.
is a JRPG.
Yeah, but like anything that's remotely like Dark Souls just becomes a Souls-like now. It's kind of like how Metrovania got like coined.
Yeah, I really like Metrovanias and also
Roguelikes
roguelikes.
and rogue-
Jinx.
Which one did you say? Like or light?
Like.
Aha! I already forget which one to switch. I didn't do my homework.
Either one. I don't care. Semantics.
Semantics. You want semantics?
I guess for me, I would say maybe RPG or Sims, like simulators. I don't really know. If I like a game, I like a game, and that's it. I don't really
That's very fair.
I don't really have like a favorite genre, but I do enjoy like a really good story. Pretty much, and a lot of RPGs that I have played that I do enjoy have a good story that I really like. Yeah. I would say those are my favorites. Even though I hate even though I say that I don't like farm sim games, a lot of them have like some sort of charm and I do still like them. Oh, I will say I do really like dating sims as well as a genre.
But
But they're
hopeful
all
boyfriend.
they're
They're all shit.
Look, okay, no, that one's actually really
Exactly. Exactly.
Hey,
Like-
my dream daddy simulator is not. No.
No, okay. Side tangent. I
Controversial
have
thing.
never finished Dream Daddy ever, and so I'm just like, it's not like anything about the game. It's just it didn't keep my attention long enough.
I was
It's
just
not.
making a joke about it.
It's
I've never
not
played it.
anime. It's not anime.
Not enough birds. 0 out of 10.
Not enough birds. There's no cat boys. Give me my cat boys. Okay. I'm done with my tangent.
The Sims was a fun game back in the day. I used to love just making houses for no reason.
Used to love recreating the sets of Family Guy. So, Goose, would you like to go next, or Sakuno?
I love my roguelikes. I love my deck builders. Good talk.
I like it when they're just
I
well
u-
designed.
I used to be more in MMOs, but I got just so burnt out. It's like,
That's very fair.
What's the best deck builder game?
I am a really big fan of Monster Train for deck builder.
No.
I know there's other like iconic ones like Slay the Spire, but I'm just a big fan of Monster Train. I find it very enjoyable.
Understandable. I heard good things about that one.
I also like, and it's kind of a weird because it's still technically a deck builder. Hand of Fate. It's like a little bit like action RPG. It's a little bit of like choose your own adventure. It's obviously deck builder. It's roguelite.
Oh, that one was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's like combat things where you have like kind of a roll and just smack dodge system. That's like pretty basic, but then it also has where you like bring certain like cards as part of your deck that have certain scenarios to go through. So it's very much like Peter Jackson's Choose Your Own Adventures that he had there. Oh my god, what are they called? They're really good.
Yeah, I remember playing this when it first came out.
Sorcery. That was the Choose Your Own Adventure. Got really popular. I couldn't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, God. I think for me, it has to look pretty. I don't exactly. I forgot the question. Hold on, 1 second.
Favorite game genre?
I don't think I don't have exactly a favorite genre. I guess like RPGs for the most part. But I just if it looks pretty and it looks fun, I'll play it. I'll try it. If not, then I go back to whatever I played before.
What happens if you type pretty into Steam? Oh, well.
That's not age appropriate.
I'm actually curious.
What happened?
That's the
I
first.
think Tally
What is
typed
the
pretty in the stream or in the Steam.
There's a lot of ultimate ones.
That's hard.
Hey, RuneScape's on there.
RuneScape is definitely pretty.
Love how pretty
Ultimate.
those polygons look.
Oh, I've never played. I've never played RuneScape ever in
Yeah,
my
I-
life.
I think I played it for like a week, and then I got like really bored. And that started like a weird downward spiral for me and MMOs as a whole, except Final Fantasy.
Like I said, for me, I used to like do progressive rating and WoW and stuff, so I kind of got burnt out, and I got a little bit back into it a little bit with Final Fantasy, but then I also got burnt out of that, and I tried to be more lax about that one too. It was
That's
just
fair.
one thing.
So for me, there's 3, and they're always constantly changing because it really just depends on like what's the new hotness like in games. But it's JRPGs, character action games, you know, games like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, Hi-Fi Rush if you haven't played it yet, and of course fighting games. Fighting games in particular. really strong love for, just because of I mean, there's like bad parts of the community, obviously, but just the community to me is just so memorable, like, as a whole.
There is a lot of strong like community members in fighting, like dedicated community members in fighting games.
Yeah, a lot of, at least for me, like really iconic moments that I can recall. I think Evo was it Evo Moment 47 or 37? the legendary Daigo parry. I think it's like, because like fighting games as a whole are just really niche, but that's one moment that a lot of people who aren't even like into fighting games can call back to. Just how like big the crowd reaction was, how memorable like that whole scene played out.
I'm
Like-
gonna be honest, I'm not familiar.
And that's fair. Like, it's still a very niche moment, but and like fighting game, like I said, fighting games in general are just like still niche. As big as the community is, it's still a very niche thing because of like the level of difficulty it takes us to be kind of competent at the game. And you know, we can, again, probably like a topic for another day, but I just
Next question. We're talking about just gaming communities. Our favorite ones.
So since I was already on the topic of the FGC, I can actually bring up a really, really recent one that happened this year, and has easily become my favorite. So for anyone who takes any vested interest in Evo in particular, Third Strike came back. The same game where the Daigo parry happened, obviously, and I can't remember the names right now. But there was a Japanese player who made it onto main stage playing one of the arguably worst characters in the game, Andre Hugo, who was a big grappler kind of on the same line as Zangief. And whenever he would do his like command grabs or supers, this player got out of his chair, or like out of his seat, to mimic the motions, like mid-match, by the way.
Oh.
So he was doing this. It was a showman just doing this the entire set, and this is top 6. So this is like the finals, and he's pulling this shit off. And easily the best part of the set is that mid-game, he just does a full split, like gets out of his chair, splits right on camera, right as they're zooming in.
God.
And the crowd just went wild. Like, that was about as loud as like Evil Moment 47. On top of that, he landed like a really similar parry too. So just that entire set was just mind blowing to watch. I don't even play Street Fighter Third Strike, but I could still like appreciate like everything that happened. But that's just for me.
Favorite gaming moment from the community.
Excuse me.
I used to love like watching like all types of fighting game tournaments, even like RTS tournaments. But there was one from the Dark Souls community that stuck with me. Way back when, like 10 years ago, maybe more, there was like a pretty popular, like official, almost official Discord. And they would hold these tournaments where players would play through the game at like level 1 and try to do like the most ridiculous things, basically. Challenge runs, if you will.
Mm.
And there was one that was for the use of magic, and I won that one. And now I still have like an official role for like Legend of Dark Souls 1 in that Discord.
Oh,
Cool.
I was pretty proud of that.
that's sick.
Beat the game at level 1 using only spells and throwable items.
Now, Nia, can you replicate that in Elden Ring?
Yeah.
What? Hello?
Can-
Can you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good. Sorry. They have spaced out. What am I replicating in Elden Ring?
Magic
Game with all
only.
spells. And throwable items.
Magic only throwable items?
Yep, you gotta beat all the Elden Ring with it.
Because there's some things that are gonna be like immune to magic.
Oh, shit.
Well, I will say one of my favorite moments would probably have been all the tributes that communities did to Total Biscuit. His
Oh.
passing happened.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that one. All the tributes, all of the donations too, that they did for his wife and son.
That's
Yeah,
very wholesome.
really any like sort of community effort that like relates to in memorial or like
Goose
it really
word.
brings the communities together. Like when Lance Reddick passed, the voice actor for Zavala in Destiny 2, there was a lot with that. The community even like went together for them to win the Guardians games to represent Titans.
Is Goose going in and out?
Yes,
Yeah, I was
it's
wondering if that
going
was
in
just
and
me.
out.
It's like he's rocking back and
Am I a robot?
You're
No,
not a
no,
robot.
you-
It was just like it sounded like you were
It-
like over here, and then you were like over here.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like
Oh.
you're rocking back and forth in like your chair because
All-
it's like the it's like the
all
jaw.
my internet went like funky there for a second, so I think it was my connection to Discord. Because like even the stream lagged for me, like everything kind of hiccuped.
Oh yikes!
Okay.
Yeah, I would say I agree with Goose. I don't really follow too many like gaming communities, or like participate in fandom anymore. But like being able to
Anymore.
see like all of these, yeah, I mentioned fandom, and a few people are like, "Oh, we understand." I'm like, I don't do that. But I really do like doing like seeing all the tributes, all of like any time kind of like just whatever we can do, like whatever people do in order to help each other, or like pretty much show oh my god, unity pretty much. Pretty much showing that we're all human and we can be good people too.
And move past like all the other like bullshit that happens in a lot of communities, where they'd be like complaining about like balances or patches or the devs or any other like
My favorite flavor of tea.
video game or politics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Patch drama.
I don't know if this counts as like a favorite moment. This is more of like kind of like a fond memory, but not really like of childhood, because I was an adult when this happened. When I was like a little bit younger than what I am now, I really liked the Yogscast, so I would always participate in they do the Jingle Jam, where they do like donations all throughout like December, for charity. And there was this one day where I literally could not go to work. I could not, like, I got ready and dressed to go to work, but I was really, really sick. And my dad looked at me, because my dad also worked at like the same place. He looked at me and he was like, "No, you're staying home. So I was really upset, but I got to catch that stream. The Yogscast were doing a Civ 5 stream, and they had their intern. One of the interns was actually participating, and they're like, "Oh." I was one of the people in chat, along with the rest of chat, being like, "We want the intern to win." And the intern did win, but one of the members of the Yogscast lost their sanity the entire time. And we were like, "Oh my god, we were right, but at what cost?" I thought it was a funny thing. I'm like, this is all for charity, but we're like, we broke a man. We broke a man. I don't know if that counts or not.
I think that counts. Yeah, because the question I think was his favorite community moment.
Tangents count. When have they not count? Tangents have always counted.
What about your
Live for
favorite,
tangents.
your first Songbird concert?
I actually haven't been to one yet.
I say it ain't so.
I,
They don't happen anymore.
I kind of just like every concert that has happened. I think I've only stopped for like 2 concerts in my entire time in Final Fantasy.
I don't think I've ever seen a songbird performance. I think I've seen one happening in game before, and then the other one I just watched the live stream, but didn't get to stop to watch.
We used to all line up behind Mimi and dance.
Oh.
I've definitely like seen a couple just because I've like happened upon them in game, but it was never planned.
I don't think I've actually ever happened upon the songbirds in game either. Now that I think about it,
Nah, Mimi decided to become a gacha streamer.
that's fair.
Doing a good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
I mean, gacha community went pretty hard for the new games like Star Rail and Zone Zero.
And the
hoyo.
Zone Zero is its own like beast.
Oh, Hoyoverse.
They're going crazy right now.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons.
They eat.
They eating good.
Eating good and draining melanin.
Oh no. I understand.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see White Art turn to fake collab.
Oh god.
I'm so excited for what that might be. I don't want to dwell on it. I'm sorry. It's funny.
I was gonna say everyone's eating good except for Genshin.
Everyone's
now,
eating good,
right now,
except for
Genshin.
characters with a light,
Right now,
with a
Genshin
darker
is
skin
saying-
tone.
Okay.
Right now,
Like-
Genshin is doing like having things happen right now.
Having things happen. I'm sorry. I'm still boy.
It's so hard to like avoid that topic, but it's just so funny to me. I'm sorry.
What about you? Did Sakuno go?
I
don't
don't
think
really
she
know.
did,
I
no.
don't. What was the question? You guys
So,
kind of went on
yeah,
a
what's-
tangent.
What's your favorite
Are you-
gaming community moment?
Playing Genshin right now?
No, I don't play Genshin anymore.
I'm playing Honkai actually.
I may or may not be doing a puzzle right now while you guys are chatting.
I've been playing Professor Layton on my 3DS.
Oh my god, I remember that. Favorite gaming community moment? I don't really have that many. Not on the top of my head. I think my favorite is usually like when a forcing community comes together to do raids or just do shit together. I think that's the only real community stuff I've done.
So So like a lot of like Final Fantasy things, you would say.
Yeah.
Okay,
Almost.
well, I think that's a good segue into the next question, though. Maybe.
I mean,
I don't
This
know.
one's gonna be spoiler heavy.
a lot of them too.
You want spoilers? We got them.
Oh yeah, I guess this would be story specific.
Depends on what you
I mean,
say.
going-
Depends.
Oh, so the question is, what's your favorite moment in a game? And that could also include like story moment.
Yeah.
So honestly, all the endings in BioShock, I love how there's always some sort of like twist, and like the extra mindfuckery in BioShock Infinite
Oh yeah,
with
that
the
was...
whole like multi dimensions and the way that they like wrap it all back together to Rapture with the DLC. It's like,
So I don't have any specific story moment that, like, I can really say I've like ever been hyped for or ever just like popped off for. I mean, there's a couple times like in Shadowbringers, sure, but I don't really have story specific, like, because a lot of like my favorite moments in games.
there was a moment in
Go ahead.
I think I had another leg thing either. Your voice just went into like cheetah mode.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
I thought there was a pause, and all of a sudden you're like, like really fast. I'm like, oh god.
Okay, so what I was trying to say was that I don't really have like favorite moments in games specifically. It kind of falls back on like community moment, but like it more personal, you know. I don't know if that would like count, because I think it's just because like I play a lot of like fighting games with friends. So it's a lot of just those specific moments.
Oh, I feel that. I would say maybe those would count too. I know it's not like specifically for like a game story, but it's still a favorite video game moment.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of moments I love in a bunch of different like video games, and I played a laundry list worth, but I just, you know, I can't like narrow it down. I guess it's hard. But if we were to do like personal little moment with a game,
Shadowbringers. The moment with the bun girl getting like very
Oh.
emotional and like crying after like the ship attack.
oh yeah, Yeah.
That voice acting like brought the rest of the expansion like up to 11. Like the rest of the expansion is just normal voice acting. It's whatever. It's that, and then hers is just like, what the fuck? This is like an Emmy. Where did this come from?
yeah, Shadowbringers had crazy good voice acting.
Yeah, Shadowbringers and like Endwalker, both. Just Emmett Selk in a nutshell. Yes.
Emmett Selk. Yes.
I guess my personal favorite moment in with gaming rather. I actually know there's one I always think back to, and it was when I was still playing Smash Ultimate competitively, and I was doing friendlies, which is just to say we're just playing like casual games off to the side, not using our mains or whatever. But this kid, I was playing, took himself really seriously, like really really seriously, to the point where I think me screwing around was like pissing him off. And on the last little match that we had, I landed this thing called a 0 to death, and it's exactly what it sounds like. I get him from 0% straight to a kill. And I was like really hyped about it. I was like, oh man, I wish I could save it. And then I looked at the Switch, and I realized that it was my setup that I had loaned to the tournament. And so I say right in front of this kid, it's like, wait a second, this is my Switch, I'm saving that clip. And he looks at me, with the most disgusted expression in his face. And what made it way worse is that we were in the middle of doubles, and our names get called. So it's myself. Like RGLiibra and African Batman versus Calamari, and I don't remember like the other kid's name. And we realized that the kid I was playing was our next opponent, and I just clipped him on my Switch. And what was going to be like a friendly little side event turned into a really personal grudge match, because he already hated my doubles partner, and now he hates me. So like, it got really personal. And then we proceeded to stomp him like 3-0. So that was he brought it on himself, sadly.
It's just so rude.
Welcome to the real world, shit. Oh, that was still my favorite moment in video games. No story will ever top that. Because that was like, it's like something that could only happen like just in that setting, you know. But that's why I love games, though. Especially playing with friends, even strangers in public.
There was a local church near my house when I was a kid that ran a Halo tournament once. And I remember playing in this Halo tournament. I made it to like the second or third round. And I made it to this kid. And then when I fought the kid, like one-on-one, I realized he was just looking at my screen the whole time. He beat me. And then like after I lost, like he got to the finals. In the finals, it was just nothing but like two people looking at each other's screens.
Screen peeking.
So there was like, they were like trying to like bait each other into the elevator and stuff, and the other person was like throwing grenades into it. So it was kind of funny to watch. It was just like two screen peekers like try to bait each other back and forth.
That's
And
good.
after that, I was like, playing Halo on split screen kind of sucks. We'd still play with buddies though.
You spawn camping, you can see where they spawn and just go after them.
God.
We would set up like custom game times. One really fun one was like give yourself overshield and give everyone swords and set the speed at like 200%. Just dash past each other with swords, bouncing off of each other.
Drive-bying.
We call it anime battles.
A battle.
I can't really think of anything else from any other game. Who hasn't had a moment?
Sakuno and Nia, I believe.
Well,
Music.
oh, Goose-lagen.
Uh-oh.
Stop it, me.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
I'll go next. I don't really have. I always get like really worried because my memory is so like not very well, as much as it used to be. But I think usually like my favorite moments are like, and this goes for like any game that I play, usually it's like if I really like the game, if the game has a story that I really connect with and like it makes me like really care about it and I start crying, like that's one of like my favorite moments of like, okay, this game was able to like pull an emotional card from me. I was able to connect with it, and you know it hits really hard. Other times I like when I'm right. Usually, I will be playing like a game, and if it's like a kind of like slightly foreshadowing, or if I get like really into like whatever the story is, I'll be like, oh, what if this thing happens? And then later on, if it does like actually happen, I'm like really like jazzed about it because I'm like, oh my god, it said it. It said it. It foreshadowed like really, really well. There's been like a few times where that's happened, and I'm just like, it's surprise Pikachu face, because normally I'm just like, oh, silly thought. What if it's this? And then it ends up being that. I think I did that with a game on stream before, and I think someone put like a sip emote in my chat, and then like a few like minutes later, the thing happens, and I was like, really? But those tend to be like my more like favorite moments. Nothing's like jumping out at me for like absolute like favorite moment in like a particular video game. But I do agree with like, if it's a multiplayer game, like the silly shenanigans that happens with like friends, like someone turning into a chair, or someone saying, "You're not gonna eat me, are you?" and then you eat them.
What the fuck? Okay.
Moments like that, silly moments like that in like multiplayer games that like they're silly, you don't expect it, and it just happens, and it's just super candid. Moments like that, that's what makes gaming with
Like-
friends happy, like makes me like, it gives the serotonin. I'm sorry, Libra.
So you still remember that, huh?
I still do. How can I not?
Those are good
And
fun
then-
classic games.
And then eating Goose immediately after, and being like, Goose going, "You son of a bitch."
I trusted you.
You know, I want to add a second one. That one play I did with the silencer.
Yeah.
That's actually another one of my favorites.
That was a good one.
I got another good one too.
Yeah.
When watching the speedrunning community for Zelda games, like, slowly get better and better. Like, I remember that when they started finding ROM warps for like Ocarina of Time, and there was like one GDQ, or I believe it was Cosmo Wright came in to play Ocarina of Time, and showed off like the new ROM warp ROM warp routes, like reduced the times like under an hour basically. And then they got it under 30 minutes. It was pretty crazy to watch.
Yeah, that is crazy, actually.
I love watching task runs. Those are always wild.
Those, yeah. Task Run is a tool-assisted speedrun,
Yeah,
which is basically like a robot that plays a game over and
Like,
over and over until they
frame
find
by
like perfect
frame.
route.
Well, some of the a lot of them are like actually like frame by frame programmed by a person
Yeah.
for like every single individual input. I also love watching devs' reactions to like task runs and all like the glitches and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, those are always good. One of my
Yeah,
favorite
they're-
in particular was the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh,
Or like the devs viewing that speedrun.
remember watching Des watching the speed run for Doom Eternal, and it's just nutty. Like guys doing like shotgun lunges everywhere. They're like, I didn't even know you could do that. I should patch that out. And then all like the people filming are like, no.
Yeah. And that's always my favorite bits for like the devs watching. It's like, man, I didn't even know we were able to do that.
That was an option.
That's the kind of thing I really love to watch. It's really fun.
So, Sakuno, what about you? What about your?
What about you? I was like, I was let you guys just keep going.
I was like watching your model do flips. It's like, huh.
I'm just gonna hide at this point. I'm not here. Anyways, my favorite moment in games. I think my favorite moments are from 14, honestly, for the most part. It's like the major like cutscenes and all that. There was like Nia, the one who like hits the heartstrings, makes me cry. Those are my favorites.
Mm.
But also like the times that in GooseStuck or like Party Animals that we've done, the mini chaos you've done. Those are my favorites.
Fucking Party Animals. That'd be 0% to KO. I kept doing you guys. I swear Neo was ready to kill me while crying.
Probably, most likely.
We would just spawn and I'd just haymaker in the face right off like the countdown and they just get knocked out and knocked off. It was bad.
I still love the clip I have where you knocked me out, but then you're like clinging onto me on the edge because you're gonna die. You're like, fall off, and then you want me to wake up, but then I ended up waking up and we both ended up falling.
Yeah, I remember that one. I also like the one where we were all monkeys on like the crypt.
Oh,
And I
God.
somehow knocked someone out by throwing a lantern at them. It's like, that's not even a game mechanic. How did I do that?
So,
Those are some good nights.
Uh-huh. Ah, the good nights.
I missed like Phasmo, Lethal Company, and those nights. I'm missing my like scary group games.
could always start up again. It's almost spooky month.
I'm just missing group games with certain people.
Nia's been too busy for us.
I've been really busy. I'm not going to get into that on stream though, on our podcast. That's a conversation for another time.
It's a personal VC conversation.
I will say I do miss, like, even though I do play games with people, I miss playing with a variety of people. I will say that.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's very fair.
Variety.
Just be like me. Be everywhere at once.
I wish. I was like, have we perfected? I asked someone yesterday. I was like, have we perfected cloning? Can I clone myself so that way I can be everywhere at once?
But you
Sad
gotta raise
reality,
like all those
no.
individual clones.
Or I could just make a, robot Nia.
AI Nia.
AI Nia.
You know, I guess with all the talk about like multiplayer versus single player, it feels like we're unanimously multiplayer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good like classic single player games.
Oh yeah,
I-
of course.
I will
But-
say. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go
continue.
ahead. I'm sorry. No, you start
Um,
first.
You
I-
said
I-
but.
I was gonna say, for me personally, I think I like, as much as I like both multiplayer and single player games, I think I like multiplayer games more, but that's only because, like for example, like like doing games like Core Keeper or like 7 Days to Die. If I were to do those on my own, I would not be having as much fun as I do with like my friends. It's like friends are like what makes those video games for me. Same thing with like any other like multiplayer games that are out there. Unless it's a very garbage game, but then that game is just trash in general.
So I'd also like to put out there too that like even single player games are always better with like either friends around or friends in the Discord. One of my biggest case in points is it's an indie game called What Remains of Edith Finch. It's a very heavy-handed game dealing with, I'm just gonna straight up say it, death. Like just about every, like, you play through a bunch of flashbacks and the twist is like every flashback for every character is a character that had passed in some form or another, and you're basically playing through the way that they die. Obviously like heavily dramatized, but and playing that game like alone would have just been really heavy-handed and like it would just leave you thinking. But I played it with like people in the Discord. It became one of the wildest experiences that I've had to this day. And and this falls in line for like other single player games too, like Dark Souls, other various JRPGs, you name it. Like there's something about just like the simulation of sitting on a couch and just watching like someone play or playing with other people around.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's always more fun.
I will agree with Nia. Survival games and for me, like kind of factory or automation games are always a lot more fun than others.
I'm pretty much the same as Nia on this one. I do really enjoy single player games. I play a lot of them, but the memories that really stick with me are the ones I'm doing with like friends. Just in multiplayer games. Sakuno, what were you saying?
Friends. That's all I said.
You just went friend.
Yeah. It's very rare for me to play single player games. Most of, at least as of late, I've been mostly playing like multiplayer games. Because I think it's mostly because growing up I didn't really play games with friends, so I want to take advantage of right now where I get to game with friends and meet new people.
It's very, yeah.
Have
You have friends?
Are you not our friend, Goose?
I have friends?
You have friends.
Who are you people?
Who are you people?
Stranger danger?
Oh, God. No stranger danger, please.
But we are in danger.
Are we in danger?
I am the danger.
Oh, God. Hey, danger follows wherever we go. The danger was the friends we made along the way.
Oh god.
Exactly.
Sorry.
At least one of us doesn't want to commit any arson.
Excuse you?
Garrison.
Listen. I like how I can hear how quiet Goose gets. with the audio.
Goose from really far away, lighting a match. I'm listening.
I'm listening.
He got quieter. Ow.
That one I didn't hear. Like at all. I'm like, damn it. I don't
Superhuman
have
hearing
anything.
coming in clutch.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say about multiplayer versus single player, or just multiplayer and single player games in general? Oh, I guess I just thought of this right now.
Excuse me.
Single player games are what I play in order to, like, if I'm overstimulated and don't want to be around people, I play those.
Mm-hmm.
But multiplayer games are what I play when I'm feeling sad. I'm like getting like kind of emotional, so if you're like, oh, your voice is all shaky, I'm like, sorry, I just don't like saying this out loud. But multiplayer games are the games that I play a lot more if I'm not doing too well. Or I just want to be around people. So I take that with what you will.
Give
Uh,
out a
any-
love.
Perfect sense.
Give out a
Anybody
love.
else?
Give out a love to Nia right now.
Ah. But yeah, anybody else want to share anything about multiplayer, single player games?
Yeah, I got
Well,
nothing.
There are moments from like single player stories that I really enjoy. Like, you know, like going through the Final Fantasy 14 story. Technically it's single player because you
Yeah.
do
Right,
instances in single player. Or like the Mass Effect story also made me cry at one point or another.
You know, so I'd like to add to that too. I will say single player does have like the special effect of being able to start like what I like to call cooler talk, or like water cooler talk, where you kind of like talk about your separate experiences with a single player story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like how Tally brought up Final Fantasy. A lot of us go through the story like separately, you know, on our own. And you know, with Dontra in particular, it's always a fun conversation piece.
And also for games that have like multiple endings or paths or something.
Oh yeah,
That
and
type of thing
talking
is really cool.
Fear and Hunger in particular.
How did you win? Well, I did this and this and this. Well, I didn't do that at all.
What do you mean you didn't save Osa?
That type of thing is always fun to talk about.
Yeah, I would say at the time when I was in high school, one of the biggest like water cooler games there was Skyrim. You know, people
yeah.
like making all the separate choices. Like for me, I found out about like the plate glitch thing really early, so when talking to my friends about it, like I think week 1 they're still like adventuring through the world, and I just told them, yeah, I got to the end of the game using dishware. And you know that in itself was like a 30-minute conversation I had.
The alchemy, enchanting, smithing loop.
Yeah, or duplicating cheese.
God.
But that's about all I really have to add, multiplayer, single player wise. Oh my god, excuse me.
Multiplayer can be fun, but when it's done badly, it can also be kind of like counterproductive to the game.
Yeah. There's like I think I mentioned it earlier. If it's a really, really bad multiplayer game, regardless of who you have with you playing the game, it's still going to not be good.
Yeah. Unless you just do it for fun to laugh at it.
Yeah,
laugh at
like
it.
one of those so bad it's good experiences.
Oh, I'm not even talking about those. Those ones are still like, it's pretty good because of that. but I'm talking about like multiplayer games where it's just like, okay, I'm having a horrible. I guess I'm thinking of like Overwatch and stuff like that.
Oh
where
yeah.
it's like, where it's
League
like,
of Legends.
Why did I agree to play this?
why did I agree to play this? Me with Overwatch, and then the ARAM game that we did the other night.
There was nothing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that game. It wasn't too bad. We won at least.
Yeah, at least we won. But like, I was just like, oh god, why did I do this? Why did I do this to Sakuno and
I was doing my own thing. I didn't care if I died or not. So I was actually surprised how long I lasted to my first death. Cause I kept going in.
What?
Righty. Let's go ahead and move on. We have video game merchandise, so plushies
Yeah.
are
So many
good.
figurines.
Like, yeah.
I have so many figurines.
What?
What stuff have you gotten from games? Video game merchandise.
Oh god. Okay.
This is directed to
The
Nia.
better question is, what haven't I acquired?
God.
Oh dear.
I have, I guess, if I really like, I know because I really like Fire Emblem, when the first Fire Emblem Awakening, not first Fire Emblem Awakening, first Fire Emblem Warriors game came out for the Switch, I bought the collector, like I pre-ordered the game, I bought the collector set, and I have these like cards. It came with this box of cards, and I'm not talking about like playing cards or anything. These are actually like, I want to say they're like 5x7 portraits of each of the characters that are in the game.
Oh, okay. So kind of
really-
like baseball cards in a sense.
Yeah, but they're big. They can fit in like a photo frame. I have those. I have amiibos, some amiibos. I primarily really like plushies, figurines of any type, whether if they're like acrylic figures, amiibos, an actual statue. I do have like a few, like I have like a Nug plushie from Dragon Age. I have a helmet. I have a power
Oh, power armor from Fallout.
Yes. God, that I got that because I pre-ordered the collector's edition for Fallout 76 when it first released.
Oh.
And I never got to play the game because my code got my code was one of the codes that was snatched.
That
was
sucks so bad.
And they're like, here's your game, and then I go to like try to redeem it and it's like, it's already been redeemed. I'm like, what?
Bitch, please.
But
Fuck
yeah,
you mean it's been
I
redeemed?
also have like, I do like art books, and I feel kind of silly about like having like books from video games or about video games, because like most of the time I buy them planning to read them, and then here we are like 7 years later and I still haven't read the Dragon Age ones. But like I really like art books. I really like whatever I can get my grubby little hands on for like video games that I really enjoy. That way I can just like sit and stare at like concept art for like characters and seeing like designs that we either do see in game or we don't see at all. My other thing is that I also cosplay, and the majority of the characters that I cosplay are video game characters. So I have a wooden version of Falchion from Fire Emblem Awakening because I cosplayed as Lucina. So it's something that like it's kind of niche and it's like expensive and it's not like official merch, but it's still like something because that's like part of my love for like my favorite video game.
No, yeah, I mean, I'd rope cosplay into the grand scheme of things.
I'd definitely say it counts.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't really have much game merch, other than a few things. Like I got a Hua mug from Star Rail.
Wow.
I got like a Skyrim map that came with the collector's edition. We have a bunch of figurines all around the place, from collector's editions. My hubby has a really big Jinx statue from League.
I'm sorry, my mind went to Pokemon. It's
Run, Jinx. I'm a big fan of Hermitcraft too. Like, it's a Minecraft-like server. I got some of their plushies. I also cosplay as well. I have a Nier bodysuit and a Nier style 2B dress. Those are two of my favorites also. But yeah, that's about all of my merch I can think of off the top of my head.
I forgot to mention this. I have a whole bunch of keychains for various video games.
Yes.
Mainly
Oh,
from
yeah.
like
Yep.
anime cons. I also have 2 body pillows. I will not disclose any more than mine.
I'm honestly not surprised.
Damn.
Damn.
Well, no. I knew of the keychains.
Oh, okay.
I know of the keychains.
And the body pills.
I didn't know about the body pills.
So, what about you, Goose?
I have a couple. I'm not one to have like a lot of physical objects. Like I don't buy like a lot of that kind of merchandise or like knickknacks or figurines or that kind of thing. Most of the stuff I have has been like gifts. But yeah, a couple of plushies. I got the Monster Hunter stuff and some Pokemon stuff. And some anime stuff, but that's not video games.
My partner has a lot more merch than I do. Like collectors stuff all over the house.
What about you, Sakuno?
I don't think I really have merch. Whatever merch I have, it would be like, well, not merch, like artist-y stuff. So artist
Well,
stuff.
I still think that counts to some degree. You know, you're having or obtaining things that like you show your love for a certain series or game.
Trying to remember. I don't really have merch. And really,
Oh, yeah,
I would have Pokemon, Pokemon plushies. I guess those will count. I have Pokemon plushies. Aside from that, I don't really have any other merchandise. No video game ones.
Not even Final Fantasy.
Especially not Final Fantasy.
I guess the Final Fantasy cookbook. I guess that will count.
Yeah,
I have that one.
it's a book related to it.
Yeah.
It is still merch.
Yeah, I think that one's actually like Square Enix production too.
I got the art books now I think about it. A couple of the art books. Level 14.
So, if I think I have enough merch to open up a small stall at Anime Expo.
Same.
To start with, I lived in Japan for 3 years, so it only got worse after I moved. But even before then, I had enough to like open up my own little like section at Fanime. I had enough plushes to fill a queen size bed, and that was before I met my wife. A shit ton of amiibos to fill up like your standard office desk. A couple figurines. Definitely a lot of art books. So I used to actually collect. I still collect art books actually, and I collect them for the sake of my own art studies. Just to kind of, I guess, dive in a little bit about me. I do draw. I try to get more active with it, and a lot of the ways I do is I study other art styles, and video game concept art is a lot of what I study. Even though I can like Google a lot of that stuff nowadays, but it's still nice to just have it like in hand, because you see like some exclusive images that haven't been leaked to Google yet, which is nice. I too also own the Final Fantasy cookbook, and then I also have a bunch of other. So I got some magnets that I picked up from the Eorzea Cafe. I also got the Dynamis flower. I got this Corpicur lamp and a Gubu clock that I haven't hung yet. A decent amount of figurines ranging from Monster Hunter, and the only Pokemon one I got was a. Okay, it hurts to admit this out loud, but it was $800 Cynthia figure.
God damn.
From Kotobukiya, which is really good quality, but it's really fucking expensive. And I also have like I have a $100 Mitsuru Kirijo figure from Persona 3 and what else is there? I have a couple cheap ones from Monster Hunter. And then what was another one? Oh, it was the Morgan shoujo statue, also from Kotobukiya, which I think cost me like at least 200. I almost invested in the Lilith, but then I realized I was buying them back to back, and I was like, I'm gonna play my odds. I'm gonna wait until I see this like physically in stores, and then maybe it'll be cheaper. And then obviously I got like a bunch of keychains, stickers.
Oh wait, I do have keychains. I just realized that I've done nothing with.
Yeah, and I also have like, I don't buy often from Artist Alley. I have like this weird like hang up with ever walking through Artist Alley. Oddly enough, I don't want to go deep into that, but excuse me. The only like Artist Alley thing I ever really bought was this Squiggly from Skullgirls keychain, and I still have it. I bought it 10 years ago. It's still on my my keyring. But yeah, that's just a rundown of the merch. I tend to buy it pretty often, especially when it comes to figurines. I almost caved a couple times for like one of the many Guilty Gear Bridget figures. But the moment I hear like an Elfelt or a Ramlethal get announced, I'm probably buying it. I almost also bought like a $1,000 Garchomp life-size plush at one point.
Oh my.
I had the. I want to like clarify that I had the money. I'm not like in complete dire straits. I like, obviously didn't make that purchase, but I did buy the life-size Gibble, which I think was only, comparatively only like $80. maybe a little bit more. I can't actually remember. But I do have
I
that
was
little
to
guy.
spend a
with me.
bunch of money on Pokemon merch. It's gonna be the Giants Black Spear.
Yeah, for me, I think the next Pokemon thing I buy will be that Garchomp plush because, favorite Pokemon. But yeah, that's a summary of everything that I have. Not even really scratching the surface, but I am a consumer.
It's good for the economy.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I thought of something and then I lost it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Sakuno?
I have a Pokemon tattoo. Well, it's a Pokemon Monster Hunter hybrid tattoo.
That's something I've always wanted. Like a Dark Souls tattoo.
I've always wanted to get one for Blaze Blue.
Get one.
Totally.
I'm saving up for Disneyland right now, and then maybe eventually Japan again.
Fuck this beat.
Disney. Wait.
Yeah. Disney's in dire straits right now, but we're not gonna get on that.
That's not. That's a topic for a different podcast. I will say, I don't have any tattoos. I know when I was a lot younger, I was like, man, I want to have the oh my gosh, the mark of the exalt on my shoulder, on my shoulder, like how Chrome has it.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my-
I was like, what is that?
The mark of the Exalt?
It's a
Yeah.
birthmark that the royal family in Fire Emblem Awakening has.
Oh.
It's
And
it's
Rom has it on his left shoulder, I believe.
Yeah, he has it on his left shoulder. Or I think it's actually his right. Hold on.
I can't remember. I'm trying to
It's his
remember
right-
from Smash
It's his
Ultimate.
right. It's his
It is
right.
his right. Okay. And Lucina has it in her eye, I believe.
She has it in her eye. Emran has it on her forehead.
And Morgan doesn't get it.
Elise doesn't have one. Lisa doesn't have one, but her son has one on his forearm. I thought of getting that or like a hybrid of the other mark, the one that Robin has. Getting like a mixture of those two together, because like there was like this really good like fan art that I saw that I was like, I really want that as a tattoo. But now that I'm older, I'm like, I would die every time someone comes to me and is like, what's that on your arm?
So not related to video games, but I always thought like a funny tattoo to get would be the if anyone has ever watched Blood Blockade Battlefront, I doubt, but my personal favorite anime, and beside the point, the whole like good guy secret organization in there is called Libra, and they have like a logo and everything. I always thought it'd be funny to get that like on my shoulder.
I remember before I wanted a fairy tale.
I thought you were gonna say
Symbol.
furry.
The furry
Yeah,
tail
sure.
tattoo.
Yeah. Sure, totally. But yeah, I wanted a fairy tale tattoo, like on my shoulder or something.
Or like guild thing.
Like the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I would still totally get Dark Souls or like a White Mage symbol. Dark Souls would be the dark sign. But Fairy Tale isn't a game though.
Neither
we
is
were-
Captain
So,
We're just kind of talking about tattoos right now.
yeah,
We
we
just-
were just talking.
This started a tattoo-based conversation.
Yeah. Isn't there a fairy tale game? Pretty sure there is.
Yes, there has to be.
Probably. It might be a Japan exclusive, but I mean, Natsu was in one of the Shonen Jump crossover fighting games, and Jump Force, I think.
Yeah. I think the anime is popular enough to make
Yeah.
it too.
It's a classic.
Gift by nighttime, yeah.
Wow. Anybody didn't answer?
Hmm?
I think we
What?
got everyone.
No, I think we got.
For that question, I think we got everyone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have Give Bandai time. Sorry. I looked at chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got everybody.
Yeah.
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 And then now to our final question.
Is that really a question though?
Well, final
This feels like
topic.
feels like a guest segment.
Final
Yeah.
topic.
All right, you need to fill for the next 2 hours.
I can't. I unironically can. I can.
I know,
go on
that's-
an entire tangent. But I'll try to condense it to one.
What?
'Cause-
wait a second. So the next topic is Libra explains fighting games.
Libra nerds the fuck out.
All
While we
right. Oh,
listen
this is
and try to figure out what the heck he's saying.
Oh, there's a lot I could say. So let's just talk about fighting games in general. I think I keep bringing up that it's a niche genre, even though it's a genre that everyone knows about. But I think what makes it niche is that people, because like, there are people who play fighting games and people who have played fighting games, you know, and the latter being like, they picked it up, played with a couple friends, but they never really like play it actively. And I'm not talking about like rank or anything. I'm just talking about like even hitting the training room and trying to understand how it works, or labbing combos and all that. And like the nicheness in it, in its own weird ways, kind of gatekept by like the amount of skill it requires. Like I said it before, but the amount of skill it requires to be like competent. Like
Mm-hmm.
in most of the games I play, I'm like roughly gold rank, and that's not really like considered competitively viable. To be fair, like nothing online is really competitively viable. but I would say like I'm just about average at most fighting games, maybe a little bit above, but probably just about average. Some of my friends might say otherwise, depending on like the game, but and I still like really enjoy it. I enjoy watching fighting games. I enjoy watching tournaments when I can. Evo in particular, I always try to like watch, because that's like the big one, and that's where most of the announcements come. World tours I try to catch. It's I can't say I'm necessarily involved with the fighting game community, but I at least like try to keep up with it. Now, like I said, fighting games are often gatekept by just the minimum skill level it requires, and I'm not even like talking just like combos and stuff. We're talking terminology, like neutral, advantage state, Oki. Even mashing has like its own term. But like to start simple, I think everyone's sort of gateway into a fighting game, even though it's classified as a party game by the creator, is Smash Bros. And like a game that we've all talked about earlier, and that I think everyone who's ever just grown up, grown up like knowing anyone with like a Nintendo console has played, mostly casual. But then you have like little tryhards like me who try to stay casual but can't help but try to land something, for the Twitch clip. But like there's, I think Smash is like the perfect example of like a really easy to pick up game, but really hard and really difficult to master. Especially when you try to even open the door to a competitive level. And then you have just like normal games like Street Fighter or Guilty Gear, Grand Blue, Tekken. These are all the games that require a little bit more, like, again, to even be competent at. And we could easily like define like fighting games as like the sort of like try-hard gamer community. And to some extent you're right. It's it's
The way
you
that
know,
you're
like
describing it makes me feel like Tetris is a fighting game.
so. All right, you know, I wanna hear your reasoning on that actually, if you don't mind.
Because the communities are very similar in the sense that they're like you can easy to play, but like hard to master. And even if you think you're good, you're actually not fucking good. And the higher echelon of that community is toxic as fuck.
So I would say yes and no. Because like I want to say every game, every genre really has like some sort of higher form of like competitive side that kind of mirrors each other. Let's look at Halo, Call of Duty, God forbid Overwatch. But with fighting games outside of Smash, realistically, nowadays they're like a lot easier to pick up. But I wouldn't say that like becoming brand new at a fighting game, you know, like you picked it up, you kind of understand the basics of like, oh, this button does this button does that. There's still so much more in depth to understand, like that you have to understand in order to like be able to play and be able to win. Outside of just like, outside of like
the T spins and like the L gates and
well,
all those kind of.
But I'd say the key difference with Tetris is that like you can just kind of like play it on your phone without like knowing any of that stuff and just kind of enjoy it still, unless you're playing like Tetris Attack or like it's kind of hard to like put this into words, especially since I didn't really like write anything out for it. But what I'm trying to get at is, I guess, the labbing aspect of fighting games, like the improvement aspect of it, is something that like I think a lot of people would be intimidated by, or tend to get intimidated by, because like it's just one of the between all the multiplayer games that you see, fighting games are probably one of the slower growing ones. I'd argue. Again, because of just the natural skill gap like required. You can probably argue that for something like League maybe too, because there's a lot that goes into that game. And I say this as someone who doesn't play League of Legends too, but I don't know. There's so much I feel like I can go into. I guess one to like kind of refocus my point. If you really want to get into fighting games, I would start with like nowadays it's really easy. So like if you're trying to get into it today specifically, try to find friends who play the game that you specifically are trying to get into. And if you don't have access, if you don't have any friends who play fighting games, Discords always help. And there are two types. There's like the general community Discords, regional Discords if you're trying to like play locally and in person, offline. And lastly, there are like character Discords, which are literally Discords made for your specific character. They'll share character specific tech, combos, all that, conversions, and that's just like the start. But just like having people around you with experience, kind of like coaching you through the learning process always helps. Because there's no real direction on like how to get good without that, obviously I think learning terminology would be good, but realistically that's just for any game. Fighting games in general do have their own the fighting game community rather has like its own glossary. I think literally just called the FGC glossary or something like that. And specific games will have specific terminology, like for like tag fighters you have your happy birthdays. For Guilty Gear you have Roman canceling, RCs. Street Fighter actually uses a lot of general terminology, so you shouldn't have to really worry about that. I feel I don't really have a focus on this, so I want to apologize right out the gate.
You're fine.
Because like a lot of like someone brought up that's like every game is like that, and they're right. Like you know, every game has like that one point where like if you try to get more technical into it, like you can easily get gate kept by the skill gap required to get to that portion of the game. But I think the primary difference is that fighting games kind of start with that skill gap versus, let's say, Final Fantasy. You know, you can just play that single, or Final Fantasy 14 specifically. You know, you can play that game without ever touching Savage or Ultimate. You know, like you can just go into the story, do your casual weeklies for your glam or whatever. Crafting is its own beast, and
I mean,
you know,
there
like,
are some fighting games that are similar in that, in a sense, that have more of like a non-online like multiplayer competitive. So like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, there's like the whole campaign and all that, right?
yeah, I wouldn't
And
call.
you can
I know
still
Xenoverse
enjoy
has
the
its own-
game without having knowledge of any of that.
So Xenoverse is a little different. I guess it kind of just depends on like where you define like anime or arena fighters, because that's when you start getting into like kind of the spin-off genres. Because I know Xenoverse has its versus mode, and I know it. Funnily enough, it does have a competitive scene, but you know, it's not something that's like, it's something that's seen as like a part of the FGC, but not like a core part of it. You know, in the same way that like Smash in its weird way is like seen as something that's, even though it's like has all the aspects and all like the parts of a fighting game, people don't even refer to it like as a fighting game. Even though platform fighters are part of the general FGC, I wouldn't say they're like part of the core of the FGC. Like even anime fighters are kind of like starting to drift outward. You know, anime fighters like Grand Blue and Guilty Gear in particular. So it's starting to become muddy as to like what defines like a fighting game as like a fighting game anymore, or rather like what defines it as like part of like the core fighting game genre. But I feel like that's almost another topic for just another day. So something that I feel like I would have to like come more prepared for, more notes on. You know, I am winging it. I just want to bring that out there. I'm sorry, Goose. So what'd you say?
I didn't say it.
Oh, I said, is Dark Souls a fighting game? They have fight clubs.
No, because like let's for like for simplicity wise, I mean, let's just define fighting game as like just 2D fighting. You know, like
Okay.
Street Fighter, anything that kind of falls in line of like
No
2D
Tekken,
plane,
no
side to
Soldier.
side. Well, aside from Tekken, like, you know, fun fact actually, playing Tekken actually improves your skill in like Souls-like games.
It does.
It ironically does. Like, if
Sidestep
you
is
enjoy
fun.
Dark Souls and you just want to get into a fighting game, just pick up Tekken 8. Yeah, you can. It's not similar, but like as far as I've been told by my friend Tony, big Tekken player, just the idea
Shout
of
out to
neutral
Tony.
is like kind of the same, or not the same, but like similar. Obviously, like, you know, controls and
It's also
actual neutral is much different, but the spacing might fall in line from what I've been told.
for like overheads also. You can usually sidestep them. Vertical swings.
Yeah,
sidestep.
tracking moves and all that. I don't play Tekken. I haven't gotten into it rather yet. I did mean to when 8 came out, but I've been busy. I do a lot of my stuff on my own, so my schedule tends to get filled by a bunch of personal projects and a bunch of personal work.
Weirdly enough, Tekken is like the only fighting game I play.
I really want to get into it. But yeah, no, honestly, yeah, if you're looking, just to kind of wind it back, if you're looking to get into fighting games, just start with like a friend if you can. If not, then, you know, just try to find a Discord. I'd say the easiest ones to get into right now are easily Guilty Gear, Strive, and Grand Blue Fantasy. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus in particular has a free trial that cycles characters out weekly aside from Gran himself. So it's a really, really fun game. not sponsored or anything. But once you get like past that, like, you know, that social stage, you start, you know, once you get used to like all the terminology, because some of the terminology is important in terms of like actually learning things. understanding what an overhead is, low, wake up DP, you know, cross ups, yada yada yada, anti-air. Like a lot of these terms are self-explanatory, but then Oki in particular is the the definition itself is simple. It's like just options you can throw out on wake up, landing meaties, yada yada. But like once you kind of get like past that learning stage, the next thing you want to try and get used to, obviously, is hitting the training room and hitting like really basic combos. It doesn't really matter if it's just like light, heavy fireball or anything like that. Just get used to like your character's basic tools, their pokes, their range, movement options, because depending on the game you're playing, your character might move differently or dash differently. You know, stuff like that. Just because like the starting point is like learning fighting game fundamentals, and then after that would be learning the specific fighting game fundamentals. And you know, like a couple combos just to kind of start you off, and then to kind of get really advanced, you want to start labbing conversions, or AKA like what you can do off a straight counter hit. Which I don't know if I want to go into right now, because that would I feel like that requires me to define what a counter hit is, and I don't know if we want to like drag this any. Well, actually, it's only been 15 minutes. Do you guys mind?
Yeah, you still have an hour and 45 minutes to go.
All right, okay. So yeah, like
Nani?
So
Let's
define. I already kind of defined conversions as in like, you know, you land a straight hit, or specifically counter hit, is where you really want to learn specific conversions off of. Guilty Gear it specifically has like a lot of 6P anti-air conversions, or even just like raw forward heavy conversions that you should learn for your character. I know BlazBlue specifically has a lot of character-specific combos that you have to learn. Looking at you, Iron Taker, but like it's one of the more like advanced things you can start like teaching yourself. More modern fighting games, or in more modern fighting games, a lot of these conversions tend to be universal. So you don't really have to go around labbing some character-specific interactions. That's not entirely the truth, but I think that's just important to throw out there. Anyway, so yeah, counter hits. All a counter hit really is just like when your opponent throws out a move and they're still in like their active frames of said move. So let's say like trying to think of like a Guilty Gear specific one, like Elfelt's forward heavy slash. It's like it's a move with like a lot of end lag, and let's just say you hit her in when she throws that out, or like it's a move with a lot of end lag and a lot of startup lag, and let's just say you hit her in like the middle of that, you boom, it's a counter hit. Like that's all it really is. Depending on like the move you throw, characters just have specific combos they can land off of that, and you're never minus if you ain't scared. That's true. I do mash on wake up. I will admit that. I'm always hitting something on wake up. It doesn't matter if it's like a 2P like Dragon Punch. I'll fucking hit a heavy if I have to. Anyway, getting off topic. Like learning character specific conversions that you can do, I think is a very big part of improving. And once you get past that comes the really tough thing, and tough in a sense that it's kind of tough to lab if you're trying to kind of stay casual, like honestly I am, is characters specific like counterplay. And when I mean character specific, I mean what your character can do specifically against the other guy. So one that I tend to kind of study up a lot on is in Guilty Gear Strive. It's I play Elfelt, well, Elfelt and Ram, but I mostly play Elfelt. And you know, I still struggle against Happy Chaos. and and I just try to study like my options against his Curse Orb, his Focus Shot, just gun in general. Just as a quick example for anyone who even knows what I'm talking about, because there's like a lot of things that I just said that I know make no sense to anyone sitting here. but that's like more for when you're like trying to be competitive with it. So you know, obviously one of the first things that you can do for yourself as someone like looking to get into fighting games is like looking at the level you kind of want to stay or you want to be at. And honestly, if you're just looking to stay kind of casual with it, you can get decently far, you know, on ranked just by knowing combos and like conversions, and then you can stop like right there, honestly. And you can still enjoy the game with friends. You can still have some, you know, you can still get your clips on ranked. Like you can still be relatively competent just getting that far with a fighting game. I still think having like training partners or just like other friends who play can always push you to be better and will always motivate you to be better. But you know, that's just that in a nutshell. I guess for like the people here, like, are there any like specific questions or specific things about fighting games that you'd like me to explain? You know, like now that I've kind of mostly summarized my tangent.
I must say I have like next to no experience when it comes to like the 2D like version that you're mostly talking about. Because I know most of the fighting games that I've played have been like still technically part of the genre, but like you said, are like their own subgenres. So like For Honor or the Dragon Ball or
yeah, and like arena fighters, I guess it really depends on who you talk to about those games. Because like in a sense, like you could technically define a lot of things as fighting games. Like there's a mini game in Mario Party 8 that you can just call, or that is literally just a fighting mini game. Devil May Cry you can call a single player fighting game because the amount of combos that you need to, well, not need, but the amount of combos that you can pull and an amount of combos that you're probably gonna try. But you know, for this specific topic, it's 2D fighters and maybe a little bit of Tekken, but not a lot because I don't play the game, sadly.
I guess for me, just for like my knowledge of the game, what I consider a fighter is just like that like combo based player versus player focused kind of game. That's kind of what I think of as fighting games personally.
Oh, so like the combo aspect of it?
Yeah. So like I wouldn't say like just any sort of like player versus player game would be considered a fighting game per se, because fighting game requires, like you said, some of those like skilled aspects that of like knowing like certain combos and certain like breaks and that part. That's kind of to me what makes it a fighting game. Similar how you can have like Souls-like games, even though it's not a Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
So I realized my effect. The green lights on in the background.
I was wondering about that.
Realized
I mean, it was pretty fitting for the background that we have, to be honest.
totally unintended to be on, but it totally worked.
So looking at chat here, honestly, if anyone tells me they want to try fighting games, I just recommend Fighters now since it's got rollback. I do think Fighters is another easy one to pick up. Granted, you have to go through the process of like learning 3 characters, but the characters don't really have too much with them. If you're just looking to like kind of play laid back, you just need to learn like the bread and butter with each character. You know, your bread and butter tag combos, but I do personally still find Guilty Gear to be the easier learning experience between the two. Mostly because you one character, two, I think Guilty Gear Strive as it is it's a very easy fighting game. Which, like I said, I think, especially as an anime fighter, I think it's a really easy game. And that anime fighters, Blaze Blue notoriously, tend to be on the more difficult side. Like, at least for just like anyone picking up just a fighting game for the first time. I think Roman Cancel in particular makes it really easy to extend combos. Because you don't need
You're
to...
saying fighters. Is it Fighter Z?
Yeah, well, I
As
just
in,
call it
like-
fighters. Fighters with a
As in,
Z.
like the Dragon Ball Tagout one. Like
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
Edge, you showed me that game.
Mar.
I kept making
Yeah,
him
no,
choose
Blaze
like
Blue
all-
is like
all
the last
the
game I would
kids.
recommend because it's, oddly enough, has a very good tutorial, but it's a very unforgiving game. But yeah, Fighter Z, the 3v3 Dragon Ball fighter.
Edge was playing. I kept making him choose all the short. games.
Yeah, I think Grand Blue is also another really easy fighting game to pick up. It's kind of, it's almost like to me it feels like the middle ground between Street Fighter and just an anime fighter in general. Not as like strict with its inputs like Street Fighter would be, per se, but it has like a similar neutral. You know, I'm bringing that term up a lot, so I might as well explain. You know, for anyone unfamiliar, neutral is, well, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty self-explanatory term. It's just kind of like the state of like, it's a game state. Neutral being the most common one that you'll find yourself in when nothing's really happening. You're just trying to read out the opponent, trying to throw out options to pressure them, put them into the corner, yada yada. Throw out things to like start combos. Like neutral state is like the one that you're going to be sitting in probably the most in most fighting games, especially Street Fighter in particular.
Without pressing a direction.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Like in neutral state, like sometimes you're just tapping back and forth. Maybe you're just like dashing forward but not like pressing anything. Maybe you're just gonna try and bait them with like a really laggy move. That maybe you're just like throwing in jabs or like light punches, or you know whatever the equivalent is, just to try and like, you know, like poke the opponent, chip their HP down. It's just a very common state in fighting games. I think it's a really focused state in Smash Bros in particular, but I mean, neutral in Ultimate is just the game. Like it's strange because this is something I feel like I'd have to tackle with like more kind of notes behind me in a sense. It's always hard for me at least to like kind of like freehand explain it, but like neutral is a very nuanced like state of play that is very important to understand in every fighting game. You know, like I mean, well, Guilty Gear neutral is sometimes just non-existent. It's whoever can press harder. I'll be the first to admit that. Not all the time, but you know, if anything, it's really important to understand like your disadvantaged state in Guilty Gear, which is to say you've been put into the corner or the other guy's like putting you into block way more often. And obviously the flip side to that would be the advanced state. Yeah, like whoever hits the button harder wins, tends to be the way it goes in Guilty Gear. But that's also what makes it easy, you know, in a messed up sense. I guess it really just depends on who you ask and depends on who you play. The amount of like little nuances in fighting games that I would like to go into, it's more like I don't really know how to put it all into words, you know.
I hear them referring to like air attacks without pressing a direction as a neutral. Like in
Yeah, neutral jump.
yeah, like you just neutral jump. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear like air neutral. I hear that, but that might be just from what I know from Super.
Yeah, that's just
Or neutral air.
Oh yeah, neutral air is a Smash thing specifically. So, Smash Bros has like its own terminology. Tomahawk jump is literally just jumping forward without pressing a button. Tomahawk grab is literally doing that, but you know, landing with and then grabbing the opponent. Obviously, neutral air is hitting your attack button without holding a direction. Forward air, holding forward. Back air, holding back. And up air and down air, again, pretty self-explanatory. It's the same thing with like your B specials, except you don't have forward or back B. You have well, I mean, you only have forward B, or side B is what it's commonly referred to.
Yeah. And then powered attack version of those.
Yeah, smash attacks.
That was what I always did in Nintendo 64 was like only smash attacks because I didn't even know that there was a soft like card version.
So Nintendo 64 only had forward aerials, or rather side aerials, if I remember right. Did they have back airs? I can't actually remember. Oh, maybe it was neutral air they didn't have. It's been a while since I played 64, so
there was no back arrow.
yeah, okay, so it was no back air.
Like,
Yeah, but there were tilts. Kirby up tilt in particular had a really janky hitbox.
There was tilts, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd abuse the Sheik tilt. The up tilt for Sheik was pretty broken.
Currently in Smash Ultimate, you know, any tilt with Steve is very, very busted. In fact, it feels like Steve is kind of killing the game from what I'm seeing. Or at least like killing a lot of people's motivation for like staying in competitive.
Yeah.
Oof.
You know, the player base is still kind of going strong. They've definitely taken a hit since, you know, the beef with Nintendo. They lost Panda Global. That's more like what's happening in that community though, so I don't want to get into that. I guess yeah, trying to bring it back to fighting games. Like, what's some like common things that you guys know, that are at least like you've heard from other fighting game people? Or, like,
Well,
things
my
like-
problem is, like I said, like I know next to nothing when it comes to the 2D fighters that you're like trying to focus on topic for.
So
I often will hear people when they talk about their fighting games, they'll be like, "Oh, that attack is plus or negative." And for people outside the game community, the fighting game community, we hear that and we just are like, "Huh? What?"
So that's
What does that
simply
mean?
defined as plus frames and negative frames. And when we talk about frames, we're literally talking about the frame-by-frame animation. So plus frames are essentially when you're... when we say plus or minus, it usually refers to on block. So something like most heavy attacks are minus frames. Meaning that after they block it, we usually can't press a button right after, unless like, you know, one specific part of the combo lets us like chain it from a special. And then plus frames just being the opposite of that, like plus on block. So in particular, Grand Blue comes to mind with 66L or Dash Light, which is usually plus on block on most characters. I don't think there's characters that are usually minus with that particular attack, and that's universal. That's like a thing that every character except for 2B can do. But if there's any like, I don't know, like things that you've always been curious about for like
So-
fighting games that you want to ask.
If it's
Like,
positive on block, that means you can pretty much combo into something else, right?
Yeah, so usually you can combo like so like in Guilty Gear, one of the easiest ones that comes like off the top of my head is standing punch into forward punch or 5p into 6p. Like that's just something like that's universal, everyone can do. Or you can do standing kick into crouching dust or sweep. Sorry, I use like notation to describe like certain inputs just because it's easier for me. And just to explain that, numpad notation is literally just you're looking at like the numpad on a keyboard, and when I say 5L, I'm referring to like the number 5 light, and that usually refers to like this how you hold like an arcade stick. So 5 is like the neutral position on a stick, and then 6 is just holding forward. And then when you see something like 66L, that's usually meaning you're tapping forward twice and then hitting that button.
No. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's I want to say that started like as an anime game thing, really, but yeah, I couldn't tell you where some of these terms like really started.
I'm just so used to seeing like the arrows whenever it comes to like fighting games.
Yeah, so like those arrows are basically just like the numbers on a numpad.
Yeah.
Like I know 236 punch or insert input here is just your fireball input, aka quarter circle forward. 623 is like the dragon punch motion or the shoryuken motion. I just find it easy to understand personally. So.
Sure you can.
Sure you can.
Sure you can.
Sorry, dumb joke.
I feel like that's all I really can. I mean, I feel like there's a lot I can explain about, like, again, specific things, but I want to apologize. I didn't really come prepared with like any notes on this. This is a very casual setting.
You knew of this.
I know. I've been busy though.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, we kind of did, even though we had this written down, it's still kind of like a overwhelming thing to like be able to. Like,
I will say,
do.
I will say that my first tangent that I kind of went off on in terms of like trying to get into fighting games is a good summary of just kind of explaining it. But I guess when it comes to explaining fighting games, my question is to really anyone here, chat or otherwise, is if there's anything specific you'd like me to explain, I can get into that. Like what it. I've at the very least I tried to cover what it gets or what it takes just getting into it, from like a casual point of view, or at the very least like semi-casual point of view, and then you can get into the competitive side of things, which I'm not really a part of anymore. I've stepped back mostly because of my job, but because there's a lot of little nuances, like improving, I think, really is also very game dependent too. Like I think Guilty Gear is like a really good example of this. There's a saying that kind of goes around in Strive in particular that Strive players don't know how to lab, or they at the very least they lab incorrectly. And what I mean by lab is practicing training room stuff, and it's kind of true. Evo, this year's Evo, there was a Anji Mito player, and there was some things that he was doing that was just straight up a lie. Like, it wasn't safe. You were able to punish him for it. I personally didn't know because I don't really have much experience playing against Anji, because I don't really see him online too often, and I haven't picked up the character yet. So, but a friend of a friend was saying that, like, oh yeah, that Anji is fake. Why aren't they getting punished for that? And I think it kind of loops back into like the thing I was saying about like really getting into the advanced stuff, fighting games, learning character specific things, interactions, what's punishable on their end. You know, it's something that Strive players don't do. But that's, you know, Strive specific. You know, bringing it back to BlazBlue, there's a lot of character specific combos, and those are really important to know. Just because like a lot of characters have like different weights, hitboxes, different things that you can do, like as your character that you can do to that character, and I mean, I'm not even just talking about like specific interactions. Those are just the combos that you can land, conversions that you can make. BlazBlue is a very, very in-depth game that I wish I could go a little more into, but I'm very out of touch with it, sadly, and it doesn't look like there's gonna be a new BlazBlue anytime soon. Very fun game, just very difficult to play. I know Under Night in Birth has kind of the same thing. There's some character specific interactions, combos, conversions, all that. Grand Blue and Guilty Gear, which are the two games I kind of find myself constantly playing, are universal for the most part. Same thing with Street Fighter. It's mostly universal, at least, you know, when I was playing. I can't speak too much on Tekken. I don't know how in depth you are with that, Tally. If you'd like to add.
I played a lot of Tekken, yes.
Were there like character specific things that you kind of had to know, or at least like character to character?
I mean, there was definitely like some like matchups that like certain characters were bad against. They kind of have to like play against.
Right.
And certain like really meaty attacks from certain characters that to look out for.
Yeah. A lot of like startup moves.
Also there's like a couple grapplers, and there's also like Steve, who's like a boxer. He only throws punches. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of niche characters. One that I was really a fan of back in the day was Wang. He had the Daigo parry type thing going on.
Mm.
You could just like block whatever was in front of you if you parry it at the right time.
Yeah. I know Smash had like a lot of character specific combos, specifically on like super heavies like Donkey Kong or Bowser though, but because, you know, they're big bodied, and I remember I remember Byleth had like a really funny one. It was a 0 to death, but it was only specifically on Donkey Kong. I think they still have it actually. But, you know, like that's like the really advanced stuff that I think that's still like even above my head, that I'm kind of aware of, and I like to keep aware of, but I don't really dive deep into when it comes to like actually just playing fighting games or just trying to enjoy fighting games. Because I'm gonna say this, I feel like competitive can just be like a miserable experience if you don't have a good mental for it. You know, if you can't handle the losses, if you can't handle like the stagnation, if you can't handle going 0-2 at like your local, then like how are you gonna handle that like at a regional, you know? And developing like a good mental for competitive, it varies like person to person. For me, it was really, I had a lot of help from like friends, you know, my local scene, to like kind of hype me up and say like, oh, you know, because when I started out in Smash in particular, I started out as a Pikachu main, and I was losing like, you know, back to back. But at the time, I was only pocketing Banjo for like specific matchups, and a lot of my friends started pointing out that I was a much better Banjo player. You know, and sometimes in competitive, you kind of just need that like squad to kind of find the flaws that you can't. Like even in a casual setting where like if you feel like you want to improve, it always helps to like have that friend who's a lot better than you are, at the very least like at your level, to kind of like point out what like what you've been doing. You know, like I think one of the most important things that you could ever have in any fighting game, like just the greater spectrum, is a rival. Someone who's gonna motivate you into getting better. And it could, it can be like friendly or, business business competitive kind of rival, really. But like finding someone that like you're always running to in bracket, or always running to at a local or anything like that, is a very healthy way to improve competitively. Even like kind of casually, it always helps. Because like you don't want to constantly be listening to this guy, so you're gonna try and find like cheeky things that you can do to his character, or you're gonna like rewatch like replays or something, and try and find ways that like try and find things that like you should be punishing that you don't, and once you realize that, they're probably gonna do the same to you, and it's like this back and forth like kind of seesaw effect of like both of you improving steadily. And and then that goes back to the community aspect of the FGC and the fighting game community in general, is that if you really want to stay improving, rank isn't gonna help you. I mean, like, sure, you can like practice really basic and fundamental things like on rank, like, but even at like the highest level, like whether it be Grandmaster, Celestial, Tekken, is it Mighty Lord on Tekken 8? Like the highest rank there, SF Street Fighter Legend. Playing online in rollback is great. I want to say that right now. Rollback is great and all, but playing online might cause you to stagnate. Because depending on how you like ranked up, you could have been playing against like a bunch of like really bad players and not even know it, and just felt like, damn, I'm good. But once you run into that one big fish in like in your little pond, it just devours you. Bro eats you alive. Oh, Marvel vs. Cap. Yeah, that's it's another good. Oh man, I do miss playing Marvel 3. I stepped away from that game a long time ago, but anyway, I'm getting off a tangent. Sorry, I'm just reading chat. Like there's a lot of like nuance that goes into like all these little things with fighting games, whether it be fundamental, neutral state, even its terminology. Like there is no real set way to explain a fighting game other than it's a 1v1 experience, you versus the other guy, whoever presses the buttons better wins. Like that, if you really wanted me to explain a fighting game at its base core, like there you go, that's what it is. But like I think what makes a fighting game special, and what I'm at least trying to explain from the ones that I play in particular, specifically the 2D fighters, are just all these little nuances that go into it. And you could say that about like any competitive game, like I said before, be it a shooter, like Call of Duty, Overwatch, the new Marvel game that's coming out, even, I'm sure it's going to develop its own big competitive scene, Tetris, all the arena fighters, like anime arena fighters and all that. Like I think what makes like, I mean, like this kind of extends to the arena fighters, but I think what really makes like the 1v1 experience special compared to like most other competitive scenes is that you start like, especially like if you participate in a local scene, you're playing offline, or you're entering like a bunch of online tournaments and you're seeing like a bunch of regulars, you start developing this personal understanding of how someone plays. And even online, like you start seeing or developing like the habit of trying to spot other habits, like bad habits that you can take advantage of. And that's what I personally love about fighting games. It's kind of just developing that connection with your opponent, that, because it's at the end of the day, like even if you're streaming on it, or even if you're streaming, even if you're in bracket, it's just going to be you and the other guy. And if you want to win, you got to start spotting like what they're doing wrong. You got to start understanding why you're getting punished. You got to start conditioning them into thinking that you're always going to do that one thing that gets you punished, and then you punish them for that. It's the mental game that I love. Like it's the mental game that I wish I can really go deeper into when it comes to like explaining that. But that really comes at like such a personal level, and it still differs from like game to game. I you know I can bring up the Anji Mito from Evo 2024 again. He was according again allegedly he was doing some really fake shit, but no one caught on, and so he kept on doing it because he knew that no one catches on. I still do that with Elfelt, like online. I'll always spam Hereka, and to Hereka is like punishable, like on startup. You can 6p, but I always test. I always see if people like know that, and if they don't, I'm just gonna keep doing it. And sometimes you can keep it going on forever because some people just don't know how to escape Hereka. And to explain what a Hereka is, it's just a special input that follows after a special input. So it's like it's a true combo, but you're doing like 6-2-3 or 2-3-6 like consecutively, or in the case of like I think it was Angel from King of Fighters, it's like multiple different specials. But it's that aspect of fighting games that I love, that I've just feel like I can't get from anywhere else. And then when you like really start to get into the community aspect of it, it just it just keeps evolving. Even if the games are getting easier, like the scene is always changing. It's always evolving. It's always heading into these new directions, and I love it. And it's a part that you can only explain so much about it, but all these little nuances like make it so much more than like what it is at its base. But yeah, that's fighting games in a nutshell, I guess, or at least in the nutshell I can try to contain it in.
Sounded like you needed to get that off your chest.
Well, no, like this is just an everyday conversation between me and Tony, if I'm gonna be real with you. And at the end of the day, like it is really sad that like it's all these neat little nuances, these lovely little nuances, make it really niche and make it really difficult to get into, or at least make it really difficult to convince others to try. That's why I get like super excited when I see like a Twitter mutual who I know doesn't play fighting games. Like when I saw shout out to Meko, when I saw her like saying, "I've been playing a lot of Guilty Gear Strive." You've been playing what? I jump on that, like I try to I try to hop on that, like trying to say, hey, maybe you should join me for my Fight Night Fridays, which I want to say I'm gonna try and start doing again because I've been like slacking because of COVID and also editing. But yeah, either that or Sunday Night Slams, whatever sounds better. But yeah, no, it's a community I love, it's a genre I love, but it's also a genre that will stay niche, like probably forever, unless we're talking about Smash Bros. And even then, it's hard to convince like people who aren't as good as you to like play with you sometimes.
I'll play in Tekken. I might be able to convince Elena to play you in Guilty Gear or something.
Well, I'll try to pick up Tekken. I might need like coaching from Tony before I like really start playing that, but I told him I'd get into it eventually, so maybe I'll just make like a video out of that or something. I don't know. But that is a game I do want to get into. I guess that's another like big part of fighting games that is also the other turn off aside from like the skill gap. It's time consuming. Like all that learning, it takes time. It could take a week, it could take a month, it could even take you the greater half of a year. Like it takes time to learn like all these little nuances, combos, like even just like fundamentals. Well, like everyone has like a different, like everyone has like a different capability when it comes to learning, obviously enough, but
yeah, like everything I know about Tekken I've learned from back in the day when my buddies would sit around and throw parties and we would just sit there and play Tekken and just fight each other.
I think what makes Tekken even more difficult is the fact that it's a 3D fighter, and not in like the arena, like anime arena fighter sense. I mean, like it's a very unique style of fighter. I think the only other two games that really share like its style of its style of like fighting game would be Dead or Alive and
Soul Calibur.
oh, Soul Calibur 2. Yeah, that actually wasn't the game I was thinking of, but I kind of forgot that. I kind of forgot about Soul Calibur, but also Virtual Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, like, at least for me, it makes it easier to pick up like 2D fighters because not all the fundamentals are there, but you know, like, just some of the basic stuff is you can kind of transfer it over. Not 100%, but you know, a pretty strong 30. Like, the differences between Guilty Gear Strive and Guilty Gear Xrd, you know, two games that are in the same series, is somewhat night and day, you know, depending on who you ask. Like, I think the biggest differences is how easy it is to pick up characters in Guilty Gear Strive than it is like in Xrd. Because in Xrd I only realistically played like 2 characters, and I was shit at like the other one I played. But in Strive, like, I main Elfelt and Ramlethal, or at least like those are the characters I have the most confidence in. But I can still pick up like other characters and just kind of like take 5 minutes to learn, and you know, like the bread and butters, and then just kind of apply my basic knowledge from there. Excuse me. You know, and going into like Grand Blue, yeah, the fundamentals and neutral state is completely different, but I still have like some basic understanding of what to do or like how to play that game, and then I can bring that over to Street Fighter. But I can't really do that with Tekken because Tekken plays differently, like overall.
Yeah, you can dodge to the left, you can dodge to the right, you can dodge down, you can dodge up. There's a lot of different directions.
Yeah, but that's, you know, like I said, I can go on and on, just like varying from one tangent to the other, but I feel like that's all I can necessarily do to explain fighting games to a more like detailed degree. Might not be organized.
I think you've done a good introduction.
Yeah, I try to. Sorry for taking up y'all's time here.
Oh, it's okay.
I know, you're good.
Yeah, and
You're our guest.
you're our guest, and that was actually a lot of like good information.
Be
Yeah.
our guest, be our
And you
guest.
know, like I said, if anyone just has like any like silly things to ask, you know, I can even answer like what the hell a Hado is. But you know,
What's a DP?
that's Dragon Punch, and don't ever get that confused for the other DP, because
Damn it.
I will say, a lot of like my fighting game brain will go into like other games. You know, like if I see like the slightest uppercut, I'll start screaming out, "Oh my god, they got the DP!" Like,
Yeah, that's what.
hence like my entire interaction with like the Final Fantasy 14 raid tier. And I would like to point out that 14 is also nicknamed the fighting game retirement home. So for the current raid tier to be a tournament arc, I was so excited to make like every like fighting game joke out the book. And that first boss like gave me everything I needed. Every other boss like gives it to me too, but you know, like I keep making the joke of how like M4 just has like the Iron Man super, and M3 is just, you know, Zangief. Not really much about M2. The most I could say about M2 was that it's the only acknowledgement the Darkstalkers will get, and it's not even from Capcom. Where my Queen Bee fans at? Yeah, you know, oddly enough, like there's a lot of like the rhythm, you know, the combo philosophy that exists in fighting games does exist in Final Fantasy. And you know, and I brought it up before that like the logic to improve and all that like exists in other games too. It's not solely exclusive to fighting games. I just like, I guess for me personally, I just like the way that it develops in fighting games in particular. It's just that Final Fantasy truly does feel like a nice retirement home because I can enjoy all the things I do about like some fighters, but without the pressure of another guy on the other side. Instead, I just have to deal with Party Finder, which is arguably worse.
How do you feel about like PvP in Final Fantasy? Because there's like feast matches where it's 4v4, and classes do matter in that.
Yeah, and I will say, you know, due to PvP's nature, or rather due to like Final Fantasy's nature of being an MMO, I couldn't really get into it as the PvP. I've also, aside from like Team Fortress, I've never really been into the like team game genre. I tried Overwatch a bit. I was a filthy Hanzo main, and then I got tired of people screaming at me for being a Hanzo main, so I stopped playing.
You were a Hanzo main?
Hell yeah!
Wow.
Basic geometry.
You're the reason I played Genji.
The amount of Genjis I would just run up to and start punching. Good times.
God.
And then they like change Hanzo for the worse. I miss my scatter shot. I miss headshotting with scatter shot specifically. It's like the most disrespectful thing you can just do to someone. But yeah, yeah, I think PvP, at least to me, you know, the 1v1 side of things, because I know like some Discords hold tournaments for PvP, but like but at the end of the day, you know, you're just gonna be picking the top tier.
Yeah, it's like,
and that's just the nature of MMOs, you know, like that can't be helped.
there's also like, even in the fighting game community, there's some characters that are like just clearly out of balance.
Oh yeah, no, like in fighting games in general, like there's always just going to be the top tier. In Grand Blue in particular, Nier, a character named Nier, not to be, which is really confusing because they're both in that game now. But like there's a character
isn't
named
one name to be and the other's name Nier?
Yeah.
The male character who isn't 9S.
But
People
just
don't know their Nier lore. Ah!
But just like openly saying, I love Nier. Like, do you mean the game 2B or just the Grand Blue character? You know, but yeah, like Nier was a huge problem. Still kind of is. People thought that she got destroyed by the patch, but the Nier mains, they're still going pretty strong actually. It's just that they have to use brain cells to play that character now.
From what I understand, in Tekken 7, Noctis became like one of the more played characters and kind of broke the meta.
Yeah, for a while before some patch changes, and then in Tekken 8 there were a lot of like Dragonovs just hanging around.
I can believe that, the command grabs.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I'm assuming so. In Guilty Gear for a while there was a good amount of happy chaoses, and there's still a healthy amount of soul bad guys. Surprisingly enough, like as many clips as I see of like Slayer on Twitch, I don't think I see them place very high like in tournaments. At least I haven't seen like any tournament results with Slayer like sitting in top 8 or top 6 for that matter. But yeah, like I think every competitive game will just have like the definitive top tier, the definitive meta.
The pro players will always know how to play around those characters.
Yes, but also pro players will also be the ones playing those characters realistically.
True.
Street Fighter Third Strike is really infamous for just being completely composed of 3 characters. You're talking Ken Masters, Yun, and Chun-Li. Like even Street Fighter now, I think there's still a healthy amount of JP players. And JP is a character. I'm not talking about Japan specifically, but yeah, JP and Ken, I think were 2 of the top pick characters early on.
Yeah.
I hear Ed is kind of a menace nowadays, but couldn't tell you. I haven't paid too much attention to Street Fighter.
I know for me, for Honor, the paid DLC characters were cracked compared to like the original characters, and that kind of like ruined it for me because if you're like up against a paid DLC character, people would just leave. Your teammates would just leave, and they'd be like, "Nope,
Yeah,
not dealing with this bullshit."
yeah. DLC characters tend to be overtuned, which is why I'm really happy that Elphelt is the way she is, because she was DLC, and people were really scared because she was a menace in Exerd, but she turned out to be a pretty average character overall, and I'm really happy with that, because no one can tell me I'm carried anymore like when I played Ram. Trying to think, there was another. Oh yeah, I know Dragon Ball Fighters got brought up a lot in chat. That game's competitive scene was dominated by all the fusion characters and Labcoat Android 21 for a while at least. Yeah, just fusions on every team. Some teams just completely comprising of fusions. Talking Gogeta, Vegito, and I don't know if Kefla is actually good anymore. Maybe. Android 17 gets used a lot too. Yeah, just every game is gonna have its top tiers.
My
it's
headphones
inescapable.
are about to die.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of rambling now. It's been going off of one tangent on another.
Is that a sign to call it?
Yeah.
My headphones are about to die. Not to rush you.
No.
Probably have like not too much time, but like a little bit of time.
Well, I have nothing else to say. Do you guys want to do your closing statements? Thank you for coming
You've
to
been
the TED Talk.
stung.
Lima, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for thank you for the knowledge of fighting games. Oh, fighting games or that genre.
What's an instrument?
Huh?
I can barely hear you.
Speak up louder, Goose.
No.
Approach the mic.
Approach the mic.
Approach the vents.
I don't want to. I'm self-conscious.
Anyways, thank you everyone who came and chatted with us about video games. And I don't know what to do. I'm like kind of zoning out. I was zoning out the past couple minutes.
You need to go to bed.
I tend to do that to people.
I'll be honest.
Talking about
Fighting games is not a strong topic for me to keep interested. So sorry for zoning out for that part.
I mean, that's perfectly fair. See, even as a conversation piece, it's a niche. It's a niche genre.
Yeah, we are going to wait. Oh, we'll win. Do you guys have any last words before we send?
join us
people?
next month where we talk about vacations and dreams
Any
of
last word?
leisurely travel.
Fuck. That's not what I meant to say.
Wait, what did you say, Tommy?
Don't do the joke.
Any last words?
Any last words?
Thank you everyone who came by to watch and participate a little bit in the conversation. Also, big thanks to Libra. I know we already said thank you, but thank you again for joining us today and pretty much vibing and having a good time.
Oh yeah, it was chill. Again, thank you very much for having me. Just appreciate the vibe.
Yeah.
I think this was a good podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Even though-
too.
I think Libra took the reins on this one.
Yeah, most definitely.
My name was attached to the final topic. Sorry. I went off on a tangent.
That was
No,
a
you're
good
good.
tangent, though.
I think it is good to mix it up.
Mhm.
Mix-ups are always good.
Keep them on their toes.
They're
Yes.
toesies.
Their toesies. Yes. Toe beans. I don't know any fighting game analogies or anything.
You know, honestly, I didn't want to bring up.
Break their bonesies.
I didn't want to say this, but footsies is a term for neutral.
It
Oh
is.
god.
And you know, mix-ups is also another fighting game thing, but
Good.
I didn't want to drag that out.
Yeah, if you
Doing
guys.
some dash dancing.
Thank you, Goose, for sharing Libra. If you guys haven't already followed Libra, go and check Libra's channel. He does a lot of fighting games, rating,
Gets
well,
hot pressing buttons.
button pressing, a lot of chaos.
I also dropped a YouTube video.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I was.
allowed to advertise that.
Yeah. Follow you too. Do you have a YouTube link, Libra?
Yeah.
I posted it. I was kind of like I had it open. I was gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's just RGLiibra YT.
Oh look, let me
I'll-
press subscribe.
Also at Raibura Hakase. Which.
Huh.
Yeah, planning on doing more Final Fantasy fighting game related stuff. I'm just kind of experimenting with content in general. But yeah, again, thank you, Sting, for having me. It's a very chill time.
Hey, wait a minute. This video was popping up in my recommended.
Wait,
How did that happen? Did you take this somewhere, Nell, from somewhere?
I drew that thumbnail. What are you talking about?
Whoa.
The Dontra one, right?
I mean, I do watch a lot of Final Fantasy stuff.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I definitely drew that one.
I swear I just saw that when I was like scrolling down YouTube or something.
I've seen this before.
But I just released it today. How is that
Well,
possible?
I was scrolling down YouTube today and I think I saw it, either that or Twitter.
Oh,
It was
Thank
Twitter.
you.
I saw it on Twitter. That's why I pulled it up.
Twitter makes more sense.
Mhm.
That maybe I'm just confused, Bunny.
Oh, yeah. Let me go ahead.
Confusion.
We cannot wait or move in.
Owen.
One second. Here's the word message.
Oh, I had it all set and ready to go.
Oh,
I thought- I was
Sakuno.
waiting- I was waiting for you to like start the raid, and I was like, "Here's the raid message."
I should post the right message before I do anything. Yeah, I can start it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, there's the raid message. We're gonna go raid.
Hold on. I misspelled Oren's name.
Oh god.
I
I
wish
put
there
a
was an
C-
easier way to do that on Twitch.
I pressed C instead of K for Oren's name.
It's with a K.
I see that.
We stream that way.
Yeah, thank you
Radical.
guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you guys next month.
there's
For travels and dreams, or yeah,
Travels and dreams.
yes,
Dream vacations.
yeah, yeah. Say that's your words, surprise your scenes. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.